Hi, my name is Rachel Hayes, and I am the instructor for Intercultural Communications. I am recording this video if I were to ever need it in the future, possibly if I were to have a substitute take over one of my classes. I do have a series of 6 topics in this lesson plan, but we're going to go ahead and go over topic 4, which is social linguistics. The first thing for the instructor to review with the students are the lesson objectives. In this particular topic, our objectives are going to identify and utilize techniques to minimize bias and bigotry behavior surrounding co-cultural environments and how to understand the relationship between language and society. I want to set the stage by going over how the students are going to enter the classroom and getting prepared for the lesson. First, the students are going to come in and they're going to be solving a quote. As the students come into the class, they will be asked to pick one envelope from a choice of 2 baskets. One basket will contain red envelopes, the other will contain blue envelopes, and each student will be picking their choice of which one they want to use. Once all the envelopes are gathered, all the students who pick the red envelopes will work together, and all the students who pick the blue envelopes will work together. The students will have 15 minutes to open their envelopes and try to put together the quote in the right order. Now, the envelopes do have one card in the red or the blue side that's going to list the author. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit of a hint if it's a famous quote, and they'll know what order to put it in because of that author. One envelope will have the author listed, as I mentioned, and there's going to be one word per envelope. I did put the quotes that I do want to utilize in this particular topic. The first one is, "Those who know nothing of foreign languages know nothing of their own." And that's Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I think this is a good quote leading into what we are going to be talking about when it comes to language barriers and how people interact in social settings whenever they're discussing things or various topics with other individuals from various cultures, specifically cultures not of their own. And then, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," which is Martin Luther King Jr. And I believe that that is a good thing to go over because many times there are several preconceived notions going into conversations, speaking to people that don't necessarily think like us or have our same experiences, and so we go in prejudging those individuals and not necessarily listening to what they have to say because we're too busy trying to get out what we want to talk about. In the instructional strategies, we'll be working on a problem-solving technique and how to address conflict. Students will be working together to create strategies that address how to overcome language barriers, cultural and social differences, and diminishing or eliminating racial remarks or favoritism. For instance, as a class, we will discuss the Civil Rights Act and have an open group discussion about various events in history that could have turned out differently by bridging the language gap and empathizing with one another. Students will be allowed to introduce an event in history that they would like to discuss within the classroom. However, they must agree to listen to the various opinions that will be presented, as well as encourage respectful responses that utilize critical thinking skills. For an instructional activity, students will be watching a video in the classroom that discusses racism and how to reduce it. And I will also be including that website as well. For the assessment, students will create and present a PowerPoint outlining what they've learned from the documentary that they are going to watch together in class, in addition to listing the solutions they would like to introduce to the world that they believe would prevent or minimize racism. They, of course, would need to provide examples on how they think that they could administer these ideas. The differentiation strategies that we're going to be using in this classroom will be watching videos in the classroom together as a group, and then inquiry-based learning, which is what we did in the instructional strategies, where students will bring together discussions that they'd like to go over in history where they feel that either racism got in the way or language barriers got in the way with communicating in mixed cultures. And then at the end, we're going to how to close the lesson plan. I always like to set the stage for students going into the next lesson so they know, especially in a series setting, they know how they're going to progress into the classroom and how they're going to utilize what they're learning now and how that's going to be used in the future. So we're going to review the objectives in the classroom. for Lesson 4, and then reflect on the quotes that are used in the anticipatory setting by asking how they relate to the lesson and material. We're also going to highlight some key points from the group discussion, as well as the solutions presented in the PowerPoint presentations. We'll also be setting the stage for Lesson 5, as I mentioned earlier, and students will take what they learned in Lesson 4 to prepare themselves for understanding the social identity that is developed through linguistics, and individuals can identify their personal identity and still embrace and encourage the identities of others. So that's what we're going to do for our lesson plan, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'll go ahead and send some helpful tools that will go alongside with this, in addition to the website for the video that you will be reviewing in class. So good luck, and I hope it goes well.